Alrighty. So, for those of you that watched my first video about unemployment and came back, thank you, because this is going to be a bit of a follow-up to that one. I'll add it at the end for anybody who wants to watch it who didn't, but basically, I ended up getting audited, which in the first video I said, I've never been audited, it's been chill, whatever. My number was up. So yeah, when I lived in Texas, they pretty much just left us alone and didn't. The many times that I've been unemployed, they didn't bother me at all. But that has not been the case where I live now. So where I live now in New Mexico, obviously there's a smaller applicant pool, and so they told me I was randomly selected to be audited, and it had only been not even 2 months. I was like not even 2 months into it of unemployment. So they audited me, and it was a lot simpler of a process than I expected. The audit part was easy, actually. So, it was easy for me because I keep records of stuff. So this is why, I said in the first video, you gotta keep records of things. And in my case, I don't necessarily write down where I applied because I've just been using Indeed. But if you use multiple sources to apply, I would add that to the list of stuff you need to write down, because that was stuff that they asked. I mean, as long as you don't delete the emails saying oh, thank you, we got your application, blah, 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 then I think you're good, because that's really what they want, is the proof, right? So I had to write down where I applied. I mean, I got audited when I was being audited, it was for one specific week, and here they required 2 work searches. So I had to go back to that week, find what I wrote down in my notebook to see which ones I needed to find, and then I just went through my email, found the screen caps, and then yeah. So you just fill out the information little form, and then just attach the screen caps. Except this is the one thing that was not easy about this process, is that they don't have it set up to where you can put 2 screen caps. If you know when you're auditing people that you are going to require multiple documents, why can't you upload multiple documents at once to this website? So I couldn't do that normally. I loaded one, and then I tried to load the second one, and it was just overrode the first one. And I'm like, come on, man, fix this website, please. So yeah, so the website was not ideally built, and so luckily they have a little chat box where people are actually responsive, and so I was able to use that feature on the website in order to be how do I add the second one, because you do need to add the second one. So yeah, I had to click through this other process in order to add the second option, to add the second bit of proof that I did this application. I'm just why don't they fix it? Also, they don't really answer their phones here that well. The times that I've tried to call an unemployment office, they hung up on me. They did not answer the phone. So yeah, or went to voicemail or whatever. So they were not, they don't answer their phones, but they do answer in the chat box on the website. So that function has been very helpful, because I've had to use it multiple times at this point. Because this is the other part. Since I was working a remote job that was out in Texas still, there was a whole thing of them making sure that my unemployment benefits were supposed to go through this state, basically. And so I did have to chat with them about that and be hello, is this holding up my shizzle? And they were like, yes, this is, we have to verify this, whatever. So I had to talk to somebody and be is this the only thing that's holding it up? And they were like, yes. So I guess talking to them sped that process up. So yeah, definitely, if things are going too slow or being weird, or you're getting weird emails, I would definitely utilize the crap out of that, because that is the only way I've gotten answers. So you might think that was it. No, this was not it. I was also randomly selected for a workshop. Although it kind of seems like everybody ends up having to do this. I don't know if it's randomly or if it's just randomly when they end up making you come for it. But anyways, I was told I have to go to a workshop at the what is that office called? Like the Jobs for America or whatever office. I had to go to a workshop in that office in order to continue receiving unemployment benefits. And so I'm over here like, oh god, I have to go. It was at 9 a.m., which, you know, when you're unemployed, what's an alarm? What do you need alarms for? So anyways, yeah, I had to set an alarm, make sure I went to that on time, and it said dress for success. So I was like, oh god. Oh, I was like, oh shit, I have to like dress professionally and stuff. Like, I got rid of my professional attire for the most part. Like, I got rid of most of it because I was working from home. Um, to be honest, in my industry, you don't have to really dress that professional. Like, the stereotypical professional is not really what you have to look like for this kind of industry. When you're a creative, there's a little bit more leeway, especially if you're applying at agencies and stuff. You don't, dressing for success is like nice jeans and a nice top. Like, you don't have to be like office business professional. You're gonna go make $1 billion deals outfits. Like, that's not what you have to wear, right? But just for the sake of this, because in the letter it did say that you know, based on how this workshop went, I could end up having to come back for more, like, help and stuff. So I was over here like, oh my god. And they're like, set aside 2 hours. It's gonna take up to 2 hours. And I was like, oh god. So anyways, I borrowed clothes from my aunt. I borrowed clothes from my aunt. It's the first time I wore heels in like ages, which was a little bit overkill, but it's what I had. Flats are fine, whatever. So anyways, I borrowed clothes, and then I went to this thinking like that, I don't know, thinking that I was gonna have to listen to a lady talk about how to write a resume for like 2 hours or something. And it ended up not being like that. Thankfully. When I went to my appointment, went to that office, they didn't make me fill out paperwork of like, what are you missing? Like, do you have all these items? Like, they even asked if you have like soft skills, do you have a resume, do you have this, do you have that? They go, there's a whole list, and they ask why you don't have a job yet. I'm like, bro, it's only been a couple of months. I'm over here. What did I put? I put something about like the economy. Like, there's just not that many openings right now that are real openings. Like, deadass, I got an email back from a place that openly admitted they hired no one. Like, that was straight up a ghost job. So, you know, there's not that many, especially where I live. Like, I'm applying mostly to remote jobs right now because there's not much where I live in terms of options. So anyways, I ended up going to that, and it ended up just being actually really chill. So, you know, I'm sitting there in my little outfit waiting to be called back into the thing, because it's kind of like the doctor's office where, you know, everybody's in like the waiting area and then they just call you back there. And then you sit in the cubicle with a person, and they just like go through your little paperwork that you did, and they ask you more questions, make sure your profile is complete and stuff, and then they kind of like tell you about like what they can offer you and ask you if you need any help with anything. And so yeah, you know, like, it's a pretty good resource. Like, if you do need help, like writing a resume or writing a cover letter or doing any kind of stuff, then yeah, you have support in this state. So that's like nice to know that we have those kinds of resources. But, you know, at this point in my career, I just kind of don't need it. So, you know, as many times as I've been unemployed and reemployed, I'm pretty comfortable with how the process works, and I pretty much understand it at this point. So I was just like, I'm just like, I don't, like, I'm just there like, you know, they're like, why don't you have a job yet? I'm like, because I don't have a job offer, you know. And they're, you know, they write the little notes and there you go. Like, I'm in a competitive industry. Like, jobs don't grow on trees here. So, anyways, yeah, that ended up being actually a really quick little, like, interview type thing. They just ask questions, what you're looking for, and then, like, she also, like, looked up in their system to see if there was anything, and like the only thing they had in their system in the whole state was like 5 hours away, and I'm like, obviously I don't live close enough for that. So that didn't pan out. as being actually beneficial for me specifically, but I do see how it could help people. So anyways, I stressed about that for nothing. And then, 15 minutes later, I was out and getting my brakes fixed. So, yeah, so this whole process, I don't know. They make it sound real scary and all this stuff, but yeah, it's honestly like really chill. It's just people like crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's what it feels like. So, if you don't really need it, it is kind of just like, okay, I showed up. I'm a real person that's really collecting these benefits because I really don't have a job, I promise. So, yeah, that was it. It was really chill. Luckily, my hair was not pink when I went to that because otherwise I know I would probably have been like, this is not professional, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I didn't have to receive that lecture, so that was nice. Well, the only other thing that I can say that I did learn from this is that I asked just for the sake of it, because whenever you're putting in like work search stuff, I did ask if like making YouTube videos counts as so the only other thing that I feel like I learned from this is that like I specifically asked if making YouTube videos counts as a self-employment activity, because that is an option that you can put into the unemployment stuff. And like, as some of y'all probably know, I put out 2 videos a week on here trying to get those numbers so I can get monetized. Because I would prefer this to be my job. Just saying, like, I am so tired of offices, to be honest. But anyway, so yeah, they told me don't risk it. So, I guess I'm just gonna keep making sure that I write down these little applications that I'm putting in. But yeah, so that's it. Also, if you're trying to grow YouTube or do business activities while you're unemployed, maybe don't put that in your unemployment paperwork. That is what I have learned, because you don't want to be questioned. You don't want people making it more complicated for you. Just put in the minimum required so you can move on with life. But anyways, there you have it.